Now, a top police boss has spoken out against the active group, saying that the eye-watering sum would be better spent on local communities. Since October alone, the Met have had to spend £3.5 million policing protests. That's the equivalent of about 300 officers per day have to be taken off frontline work to deal with them. So do Just Stop Oil need to fit the bill? Peter, I'm going to start with you. Is this the right thing to do? Just send it their way?
Well, they should pay it back, but sadly, the legal kind of structures aren't in place to enforce them to do that. The most the court can really do is fine them heavily when they appear, as they do regularly, in front of the magistrates and other courts at the moment. But this lunatic cult is the enemy of the people in so many regards. People who are trying to get to work, people who are trying to go about their daily business.
Isn't that true of any protest group, though?
No, this is particularly focused on disrupting traffic, stopping traffic. That's their stated aim, of course, to try and get oil and gas licences revoked. Well, we know how unsuccessful they've been because only a few weeks ago the Prime Minister announced yet more licences. They are completely and utterly wasting their time. And what they are also doing is becoming friends of robbers, burglars and paedophiles because they are distracting valuable police resources away from investigating crimes, preventing crimes and giving a service to victims of crimes. Their language is cultish, their behaviour is cultish, they are the enemy of the people.
Well, I'm going to stop you there and bring in Just Stop Oil spokesperson. This is Zoe Cohen. Zoe, do you feel any regret about how much you've cost the police? Do you think maybe you should start paying that money back?
Hi, Storm. Thanks for having me on. Well, what's really, really clear is that the Met Police need to do their job and they need to arrest those in positions of power, the Prime Minister and other leading politicians and other decision makers who are causing genocide by licensing new oil and gas. They are the real criminals, not the young people and indeed teenagers that the Met Police is choosing to arrest and lock up instead.
Part of the criticism, though, towards Just Stop Oil by the police is that you are not working with them. You do not feed them all the information they need in order to protect you and make sure that these protests can go ahead safely.
Thanks for mentioning that. I mean, we've actually been, myself, Just Stop Oil and other colleagues within the climate movements have been trying to engage the Met Police for some time now. In fact, there's a letter, I have a copy here, Just Stop Oil colleagues wrote to Mark Rowley, Sir Mark Rowley, Commissioner of the Met Police, on the 26th of October, setting out the criminals responsible, in other words, those in government and other positions of power, responsible for crimes against humanity and acts of genocide. And the Met Police have had a dossier setting out the evidence for this since 2022 and have done nothing. Okay. So we really would like to engage with the Met. They're not engaging with us. If they engaged on this, we actually wouldn't need to do what we do. Okay,
I hear what you're saying, that you're trying to engage the Met Police and they're not doing it in a way that you guys would like. But why Storm, do you think then...
Storm, I don't think, with the greatest respect, I don't think you have listened to what I've said. I've said that these people are causing genocide. Licensing new oil and gas is going to lead to hundreds of millions of people dying in the decades to come. That is scientifically truthful and honest. We are catastrophically catapulting into a complete civil breakdown. I
absolutely appreciate the concerns of your group and what the message you are trying to get across. But the point is, the message that you are trying to get across and the way you are doing it, most people would agree that we need to do something about the climate crisis. That's not really what we're debating here. What we're debating is the way that you go about it is costing the police a huge amount of money, a police force that are already incredibly stretched, and you're letting robbers, rapists get away scot-free.
That is a political choice. That is a political choice. Have you actually seen what goes on? There are people who literally go on the road for a matter of seconds and they are arrested. These people many of them have been remanded in prison, in other words, imprisoned without trial. People as young as Peterborough as young as 18 or 19, teenagers being imprisoned without trial, just for seconds walking on a public highway because they know that their lives are destroyed, their futures are destroyed. Your child, you've got a little one, haven't you, what the hell is he or she going to expect in his life? Really, I can't believe
Peter,
you're constructing these ridiculous debates. It's not a debate. These people are driving genocide.
Well, the 20 million you've cost the police is the debate, isn't it, Peter?
It certainly is.
It
and
isn't.
actions have consequences.
It's
when
nonsense.
I talk about these
You're
people
arguing
being...
over nonsense.
I mean,
Hold on, Zoe, let Peter have his say.
When I talk about these people being the enemy of the people that block ambulances and stop people going to work, let's
That's
also
not factually
remember
correct, Peter, and you know it.
they have destroyed or attempted to destroy valuable works of arts, gifts of the nation,
Nothing
priceless
has been
pieces.
destroyed,
But there
Peter.
is-
And they
That's
have
just lies.
daubed and tried to damage wonderful architecture, gifts of our nation. They are a cult. If you listen to her language, it would
Okay,
be
Peter.
laughable if it weren't criminal.
But what Zoe is saying is that we're looking at genocide of, I suppose, the globe if we allow things to continue. Do you agree that there is a climate crisis, that we have a problem as far as
That's
the
why I
climate's
got
concerned?
the train and the underground tube here instead
Okay.
of a car that was
So
offered
you're in
to
agreement
me.
with that. So
But
specifically, what is the problem then with Just Stop Oil? If you agree with them,
they are breaking the law and they manifestly do not understand the power of campaigning and how to go about it. And they are doing it in the entirely wrong way.
Imran, what do you
Go on,
think
can I
about
come
this?
back
You've been
in?
involved in plenty of protests. I just want to bring Imran in because although you're not part of Just Stop Oil, you have been involved in huge protests.
Yes. So I actually find it's interesting. I see truthful elements in both arguments. So when I think about when Zoe talks about what we're heading down or what we're going to lead towards or what's going to happen later on down the line, that's all well and good. And so that's delayed gratification. So if we start working on these things, that's delayed gratification. But we also have to think of immediate gratification. We have to think of the effects of the people now. So if we can find a better balance of looking after those, like Peter said, that are on their way to work, that are in the ambulances, and then we can find a balance of ensuring that we don't keep getting more oil licenses, then that would be a far better way than as opposed to just saying, let's focus on the future and forget about all the necessities that we need for now.
OK, let's focus on this £20 million to pay back to the police. You were involved in just Black Lives Matter protests. Imagine you had been given a bill for a couple million just for the disruption that you had caused. Do you think that's fair?
No, one, because I didn't cause it. So let's just be clear. One of my protests, for example, was 20,000 people. It was a very small cohort that actually damaged things. I actually ended up having to stand on top of a bus stop, ironically, to get people to kind of settle down and be a bit more respectful. So as an organiser, I shouldn't have to foot the bill?
Foot the bill for other
right,
people.
For other people, especially if it's a small cohort within protests. And let's just be clear, if we lead with pragmatism, you're always going to find extremists within protests. It doesn't matter what protest you have, you'll always have a small cohort that don't follow the rules. The leader, the organiser who is trying to protest against wrongdoing shouldn't have to be penalised as a result of those actions.
I want to get to calls, but very quickly, Rick, what do you think?
I think the right to protest is a balance with the rights of those who choose not to protest. And, you know, what concerns me about Just Stop Oil is when you see the emergency services unable to get through places because roads are blocked
That's
off
not
and people
factually
cannot
correct.
get... Well, we've seen multiple pictures
That's
and
not
films
factually correct.
of ambulances
Freedom of
unable to
Information
get
requests
through
have shown
areas.
that the ambulance service has
it's been widely
experienced
filled.
no
We can debate
significant
it.
delays.
But the main issue
No,
here is, of course,
look at
is
the facts.
engagement.
Freedom of
Is
Information
engagement
requests
with
don't
the
back
police.
up what you're saying, Rick. Please speak the truth.
It's not
Okay,
going to work if we're talking
let
over each
Rick
other.
finish.
The important
Facts
thing...
really matter.
Yep, they do. So the important thing here is engagement with the police, and you've talked about engagement. So you've talked about sending a dossier into police. The engagement that the police are asking for, and any protest that's involved on the streets of London, is information about where you're going, what you're doing, what your numbers are, and the times you're taking place.
Which
and
I agree with. I do agree with that.
You're refusing to give that information. The reason they can do that is then police can then allocate numbers to certain areas to make sure that other areas of the capital or whatever city in the UK are not left without their local communities being able to be policed. And that's important. So burglaries...
And I had to do it. I had to do it during my
burglaries and
protest.
rapes are investigated. So please,
With the
when you think
greatest
about
respect,
please engage.
With serious respect to you, none of these actions that Just Stop Oil have taken would be happening if the government had actually ended new oil and gas licenses. This is all at their door.
OK,
Every
Zoe,
single
that's
bit of disruption.
absolutely fine. You disagree with what the government has done, and that is absolutely your prerogative. But what Rick is saying, that if you disagree, what we do in this country when we protest is we tell the police what we're doing so that we can keep you and everybody else safe. Does that sound fair enough?
There's a category error being made here in this conversation. You guys are behaving like we're in normal times. We are not in normal times.
So you have to be rational at this point. You have to be rational at this point. I do apologise, but be rational. Find your balance, Zoe. I want to hear you. I want to hear you, Zoe, but find your balance. Don't allow your emotions to... Don't allow your emotions...
Let Zoe finish here.
If I drop this cup, it will smash. That's because of physics. It's because of gravity. New oil and gas licenses mean that millions and millions more people will die. More carbon dioxide.
So we forgo what happens now.
Will kill more people.
So we forgo what happens now.
Scientific fact.
So we forgo what happens now. So what I'm talking about, sorry, let me just say something very quickly. We have had evidence that ambulances have been stopped and haven't been able to get to where they need to go.
No,
we have had that evidence. We've seen it. We have seen it. So that might not be something that was intended, but it has happened. And that's the point, Zoe. And so what I'm trying to suggest is if we find a better balance in terms of, even if it was quite clear, which is we are just stop oil, but we don't stop ambulances. I think that would help.
We have a blue light policy.
So then, so why are ambulances being stopped?
Okay, it isn't just ambulances. There was lots of people that feel they were stopped getting to the places they needed to be. In some of those places were hospital appointments. David from Nottinghamshire.
Please, may I come in here?
Very quickly, because I do need to get a call in.
We are in the end times of humanity without massive action
That's not helpful. That's not helpful, sorry. Oh, wow.
Please let me finish.
Sorry,
every single decision now, thank you. Every single decision at this time has consequences. We are doing the least worst thing that we can think of doing as ordinary citizens.
Directly target the politicians. It would be an argument that people would make. David from Nottinghamshire, what do you think?
Hello there. Well, basically, we're dealing with anarchists here. Why aren't they protesting outside the Chinese embassy, outside the US embassy?
Because they live here,
Indian
David.
Embassy, the biggest polluters.
But hold on, because they live here, and we may not be one of the biggest polluters now, but we certainly have been in the past. And just because we've passed that part of development doesn't mean that, you know, we get off scot-free.
No, I agree, but we're a very small island in comparison to the world. You know,
so we should just keep polluting.
We're not going to function without oil for the next 30 years, probably. And it's a matter of fact. And I just think these protests, they're just targeting particularly the southeastern London, and it's ridiculous. And I've been through some of these protests, and it just causes a havoc for ordinary people trying to get to work, trying to get hospitals. I
think that is part of the point, David, is that they're trying to cause disruption in order for their message to be heard. The question that we're debating just now is whether they should pay back the 20 million, because the allegation from the police is that Just Stop Oil has not been communicating with the police in the way that they're supposed to, in the way that the police would like.
I think that's legally possible, to quite frankly, Storm. I don't think legally it would go through the courts, and we'd probably spend more on legal aid than we would on, you know, any profit from it. It's ridiculous. I feel sorry for the police. I've seen them in these protests, and they go through hell, especially in London.
Well, I mean, it's an odd one, because sometimes the police are criticised for being too harsh and other times too soft. But do you think in the future you would be able to, Zoe, for future protests that I have no doubt that you'll be doing, you'll be able to have those conversations with the police and just let them know where you're going to be in order for them to be able to keep everybody safe?
Firstly, I just wanted to say I'm not sure where the caller gets their information from. Police don't go through hell policing Just Stop Oil actions. These are peaceful people, often as young as teenagers, 18, 19, or maybe parents, grandparents' age. They just sit there or even lie on the floor peacefully. There is no hell for the Met Police.
The police force is already under pressure. They are already stretched. And the criticism here in the argument is you're putting increasing pressure on a police force that is trying to keep the society safe at a very basic level.
And that's exactly what we want as well. We want to keep society safe at a basic level. That's the point. Mass civil unrest is being predicted by academics in this country due to food shortages in the coming years. That's not me saying that. That's York University. Please do look it up. They are predicting mass civil unrest due to food shortages. We are looking at empty shelves for some produce this winter because of crop failures due to Storm Babette and other climate disasters just in the UK in 2023, Storm. This couldn't be more important. We're sailing past tipping points right now. Like, stop acting like this is normal business as usual. It isn't.
We have run out of time now, Zoe, but thank you very much. David, thank you very much for your contribution with the call.